Hey, John.
Yes.
Are you ready to do the warm-up?
I'm ready to do the warm-up.
Okay, it's already going.
Fantastic.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I got a Ganon right next to me.
I got into a fight on Reddit. It's over this. Let me show you.
Okay, well, that's normal, but this is the first thing John's been on since that one behind-the-scenes video since you got back, so...
What?
Yeah.
You want to say hi to everybody?
Hi,
everybody listening?
Hi,
John?
everybody. I'm John.
What was the last podcast you were on?
Oh my god.
Oh my god, the first one? Maybe like the third one?
It's like white noise, right? Like,
Yeah.
were you even on any of the other ones?
Oh, no, I was definitely really far away.
Well, that's crazy. One of the first things I noticed about John when I first met you at the Renaissance Festival was that you had one of my favorite voices. That was all. Like, Kyle was like, what do you think?
That's shocking.
He was like, what do you think of John? And I was like, I like the way John talks. And he was like, oh yeah, okay.
Wait, okay. No, I'm not going to belittle myself and say that I have the worst voice because it's nasally and, I talk through my nose. But I mean, when you're comparing me to people like Ethan with the voice when Morgan Freeman dies and becomes an angel, he'll just sound like Ethan.
No, you're right. No. So Ethan has a very good voice, but your voice is very good to talk to. Like something about the way you talk makes it sound like you're constantly engaged in what someone else is trying to say.
You have like a very accessible voice. You have a really good radio
Accessible.
voice, I think, because of like...
Well, it's often been said that I have a voice made or a face made for radio.
You know what? I think you have a dad voice.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is.
God.
But like in a good way, but like a good thing. Like
Fantastic. Now my body matches my voice.
It's like a very comforting voice compared to like Ethan's is more like one that you just kind of
Marvel at.
Yeah, marvel at. That's the right term.
Yeah.
He's like the golden voiced hobo. Remember that?
Yeah,
Like, from
yeah,
like
exactly.
2011.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And he's really like vocally talented and like all the voices he can do and impressions and stuff.
Yeah. Like his New York accent. Water. Just
Yeah. Oh, he gets that from his dad. Who's like the cutest man in the world.
Yeah, no, Ethan's dad's great. Ethan, I think I've always described it as like he's like the New York like Italian mafia stereotype mixed with like Southern hospitality.
Yeah,
like you just
exactly.
combine those two things together equally, and then you have Ethan's dad.
Yeah, it sounds like he wants to yell at you just based on the accent, but instead he wants to give you like a lot of donuts and hugs.
Right. No, yeah, it's that voice that like I only see it in TV shows, but I assume it's common up in like New England area.
Yeah.
But it's like it's the parent that's always complaining about something, like Jess's dad from New Girl or whatever. Like he always sounds like he's complaining.
Oh yeah.
But he's actually just offering you hamburgers.
To be fair, New Yorkers are probably complaining.
They have every reason to.
I mean, they're New Yorkers.
I mean, they chose their life, okay? Like
Not all of them. Some of them are just kind of stuck there.
Hey, planes are a thing. Trains are a thing. Cars are a thing.
John's
and
got a point.
Walking's a thing.
And every state in the entire U.S. is probably cheaper except for California, so it's not like they couldn't pick somewhere, be like, that one.
I'm just saying there's a whole host of people in New York that like are too poor to be able to leave New York.
Oh, that's
yeah,
a good
I mean, that's
point,
fair. Yeah.
They're not the ones that are like complaining. At least they're not the ones they're not like the Karens that I'm thinking of.
Oh, I mean, there's a different... Yeah, no, sorry.
No, you know what? I'm sorry. Karen is Southern.
Yeah, no, you're actually comparing... Sorry, New England complainer is definitely, like, on the lower income scale. Like, the voice I'm talking about is, like, the older balding guy that's just...
Yeah.
Has to complain about, like, how crowded everything is and the fact that his ankle's acting up and, like...
Yeah.
That's all they can do, because what else are you going to do? Everything kind of sucks, so the only way you can deal with it is just by griping about it to everybody who will listen to you.
This is actually how I choose to live my life.
This is exactly why most stand-up comedians start in New York.
Actually, yes. No, it is
that's
the
a good
stand-up
point.
comedian voice.
I actually have an uncle or great uncle. He's my grandpa's brother, but he's 40 or 50, despite my grandpa being 80. Yeah, that's weird.
Okay.
But he's a stand-up comedian in New York, Joe Curry. And
Okay.
I'm not sure if he still does it, but he's been doing it for a while. So.
Yeah, I bet he sounds very similar.
Oh, he's
I bet
very
it's
New York.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what Ethan's dad sounds like, but instead of
But
complaining
happy and
about the
wholesome.
train, he's just trying to give you everything he owns.
Yeah, he's such a sweet old man.
Yeah, he's great. And then Ethan can just like dip into the accent immediately whenever he wants.
Yeah.
Which we had him do for that one Civ video.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Which is interesting because I actually can't do that with a Southern accent very well.
You can't just like dip in and out of a Southern accent.
Not really. I guess I just wasn't around it enough.
There's like
I mean, there's
10
a lot of them.
Southern accents. So there's like Georgia, and then there's like Deep South, and there's like Tennessee South, and then there's like Tennessee North, and then there's like Texas North.
Half my family is East Texas though, and I can't even really imitate that like on a whim.
Isn't that just that King of the Hill guy?
Whoa!
No, wrong King of the Hill guy.
That was perfect though.
That was really good. That was great. No, I'm talking about
You're talking about Boomhauer.
The Boomhauer, yeah, the mumbly one.
Boomhauer? Oh
no, actually no, it's not. Boomhauer is more your
You're
relatives,
right.
like
that's
the
North Texas,
the mumbly,
Wichita Falls.
like white trash Texas.
The problem is my voice, man. I gotta talk about my voice, man.
It's like that, but like times 10. Like do everything even more than you just did, and you're there.
My East Texas is like the very like
deep drawl, right? Like low deep drawl.
Yeah, I mean it's almost proper is the wrong word, but it's like very it's very soft, I guess is what it is. It's not the abrasive Southern accent.
Yeah.
It's like the sweet kind of Southern accent.
The effeminate Southern accent.
Yeah. That's also probably judging you a little bit, but
Me?
no, the accent that I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The East Texas one.
Yeah, because it's kind of like pushing on like the Georgia. It's like kind of
Yeah,
moving
it is.
that
Yeah,
way.
it
It's
is.
kind of
It's
getting
moving
into
towards like Georgia, Mississippi area.
like Southern Belle type, which
Right.
only ever comes across as condescending.
Weird thing I've noticed it with a couple people. It's not necessarily a general rule, but I have noticed that sometimes people leave the state and they'll come back with a more Southern accent.
Yeah, didn't you say you did that actually when you went to Rhode Island?
No, I actually came back with a Rhode Island accent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's usually those are the two things that I think usually happen.
Yeah.
Is you come back with the accent from the region that you went to, or you just double down on your own.
Yeah, no,
Because people point it out, so you're thinking about it more, so you start
Yeah.
doing it more by just habit.
I like okay, in my life I do like awkward things, but I like roll with it pretty well. Like I'm not one of those people who like does something uncomfortable and then like sits there and just like stands in my awkwardness like a lot of people do.
Right.
But there is one thing that I do that is just like so impossibly cringeworthy that I just don't know how to react to, which is I will adopt someone's accent like mid conversation and it's horrible, and I don't mean to, but like when I worked at Best Buy, like imagine if you're working as a cashier and an Indian woman comes by and starts talking like a heavy Indian accent, and then you respond in her accent to her. Could you imagine how much you'd want to just die? Like I would just like adopt like a little thing here or there and say it back, and I would just like and it's not like they don't notice. I say y'all the next sentence later, but like I will just accidentally say something similar to what they already said, because I don't know if I'm just paying too much attention to their mouth.
This is the downside to being too empathetic.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, that's verbal empathy right there.
Oh no, it's horrible. They don't like it. It's empathy that I could lose, because no one's ever been like, "Oh, that's cute that you just adopted my accent." No, it's definitely like, was that racist?
Are you mocking me? Like,
yeah.
I remember seeing a Reddit post recently that was like, I bet somewhere in the world there was a white guy adopted by a Chinese family in China, and then learned English later and now speaks with a Chinese accent, and to anybody else probably just looks like a douchebag.
Oh
absolutely.
My God. That guy doesn't leave his house.
I've actually met someone exactly like that.
Wait, have you?
No.
Yeah, there was one soldier when I was in Korea. He was Korean,
Yeah.
but he was white, and
he sounded Korean,
he sounded
like he had
Korean,
the accent
yeah,
and everything.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And he was a soldier though. He was a Katusa,
Yeah.
one of the rock army.
Yeah.
It was crazy because we were like, he's wearing the Katusa uniform, but he's white, like very white.
That's interesting. I just never really thought about that being something. I saw that Reddit post and I was like, oh crap, I bet that happens like all over the place.
Was that a shower thought?
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like one.
That also reminds me. I don't know if I've mentioned my being recognized as a Texan in England story on a podcast.
I don't think
or
you
on a
have
recording
actually
yet.
told like the fans or anything yet.
I don't think I've mentioned it to you yet. On my first trip over to England, I went with a tour group that were all Americans, and it was a company called EF College Break. If you're young and want to travel, I actually highly recommend them. You can like pay monthly, and then you get to go on a trip that's like completely pre-planned. I've been twice; it's been great. But I went on my first one, and we were kind of like, me and the other Americans there were talking about where we were from, and I mentioned I was from Austin, Texas, and they were like, "Oh, you don't sound Texan. I wouldn't have guessed you were Texan." And I was like, "Okay, that's kind of nice to know." I always figured that was the case, but I never knew for sure because I hadn't interacted with a lot of people outside of Texas. Then, like a day later, I go into a Starbucks in London, and I want this like a specific drink that they have. And the guy working the counter in Starbucks is not from London because almost nobody in London is from London. It's actually the least English place in England. This guy's probably from the Middle East somewhere. I walk in and ask for my drink, and he goes, "Oh, are you from Texas?" And I'm like, what the hell did I do? What could I possibly have done in one sentence to notify you, random person from somewhere in the earth that I can't identify that I'm from Texas? Not even like, are you American? He was like, are you from Texas?
I wonder what
That's
it was.
fantastic.
Must have been a Texas word.
Maybe you said
I can
y'all?
figure. No, I never say y'all.
Ain't?
Yeah,
And
Kyle actually
I don't
doesn't say y'all.
Texas is.
Yeah, I guess you don't.
The only thing I can think is that the drink I order is called a caramel apple spice. And I know that the
Caramel?
word caramel is pronounced differently in different places, right? There's like caramel and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know if people around the world hear caramel as distinctly Texan.
I don't
'Cause
know,
I think it
I'm
might
not-
be a southern U.S. thing, but I don't know. Maybe it just gets
Oh.
like isolated to Texas and other people's,
I've
generalizations.
only
I don't
ever
know.
said caramel, so I don't know. I disagree philosophically with people who say caramel.
Caramel.
I mean, that's how it's
only-
spelled. Like,
Yeah, I don't-
caramel is definitely like the Texas drawl version, I guess.
Who gives a... Okay, that's how it's spelled. Let's talk about things like knees or...
I mean, but then you get words like in England they say like aluminium.
They actually spell
Which-
it differently too, though.
Right, but that's because that actually is a thing. That's actually aluminium is the Latin word for
Oh,
aluminum.
yeah.
That's the actual, which is the actual element name.
Yeah.
Because they all come from Latin words. Actually, that's why sometimes the symbols don't match up with the words because
Yeah.
Okay.
gold is, I believe, Aris
It's like-
or Arger or something like that, but that's why it's AU.
Oh,
but we
okay.
pronounce it gold. But I just hate that they call it aluminium, but they don't call gold Aris or whatever. Like
Yeah.
there's no consistency there. Like if you're gonna use the Latin names, use them all.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like, I had so much culture shock moving to like such a like a non-place like Rhode Island. Like, I remember getting there, and two of the biggest things were I ordered ice cream, and they asked if I wanted, I think this is a word, I'm probably getting it wrong, but they asked if I wanted bobbies, and I was like, I don't know what that is.
Heard that before.
It's sprinkles.
Sprinkles? Yeah.
It's sprinkles.
Oh.
And then there was another time where a woman asked me where the bubbler was, and I was like,
Bubbler?
yeah, bubbler. And I looked at, did that say?
What?
I was like, a bubbler. And she goes, yeah. And I was like, I don't know what that is. And she was like, a water fountain. And I was like, a water fountain? And I was like, oh. So I pointed her in the direction of like a fountain. Like a fountain? Like, we were in a mall. I worked in a mall. So I pointed her in the direction of like a mall fountain. But she meant like a water fountain, like that you drink from.
Yeah.
And I was
wait, the first
thought
thing you
she
thought
meant
of when you heard
fountain.
water fountain was like a decorative fountain?
Yeah, because she called it a bubbler. And
I
so
mean, that
thought,
part
like,
I get, but once you heard water fountain,
But it was because it was like putting two and two together because she said a bubbler and then she said a water fountain. I thought, okay, well those bubble,
I guess that kind of
like they bubble up like a bubbler. And why would anybody call a water fountain that you drink from a bubbler? It's only Rhode Island. It's the only state that does that. It's not a
Really?
thing
Huh.
somewhere else. It's just like something
But
they
it's such
do.
a small place. How do they have their own things?
I don't know. I don't know how they have their own
Wow.
things. I was actually, but I had I got picked on, not picked on, but like, you know, made fun of for being Texan there. Like my nickname was Tex.
Huh.
Which is the most unfitting nickname I could think of for myself.
Yeah.
You know, maybe
But-
that's why Rhode Island is such a small little state there. Like it's probably just Maine or whatever is right there. I can't remember. Probably just like
Yeah.
went there and they were like, "Hey, you seen the bubbler?" And they were like, "Let's just carve this piece of land out right here."
That's probably true. If you think about it, Rhode Island's so small that definitely everybody was like cutting it out. They were like, we don't want it. I told somebody in Texas I was moving to Rhode Island and they said, is that part of New York? I was like, do you mean Long Island? No, yeah, Long Island, right? That's part of New
Yeah.
York? Yeah.
But Rhode Island is it's known as the smallest state. It's at least got that going for it.
I think Delaware's the smallest.
No,
No.
Delaware is the most forgotten state.
Oh, you're right. Okay, yeah, Rhode Island is the smallest. You're right. It does have that.
Yeah, it's
I remember
very,
that
very
because
small.
we said that to make us feel better about Delaware. Like we talked about Delaware to make us feel better.
It's
But-
so small, in fact, that Family Guy can consistently make fun of it, and no one cares because the only people that would care are from Rhode Island, and they're like,
Yeah.
gotta be so few of them.
Yeah, no, I remember I was driving to a mall in Rhode Island and I accidentally crossed into Massachusetts and thought I broke the law. Even though I've driven between states before, I always did it on purpose. But this one time I accidentally drove into Massachusetts and I called my mom freaking out and I was like, Mom, can I just drive into another state like that? And she was like, yeah, that's how you got there. And I was like, yeah, but I did that on purpose. I don't know, for some reason it really hung me up. Like I was like, I just drove into Massachusetts on accident. Can I be here?
You thought it was like there was borders for states?
Yeah, I don't know. I was freaking out. I was like, I feel like I'm not supposed to be here. And she was like, I don't know what to tell. I think it's because I passed a welcome for Massachusetts sign and I was like, oh my God, I entered a new state on accident. Like, this is unacceptable.
Don't lie. You saw Massachusetts and were like, oh God, I entered another country.
I genuinely, I was freaking out because Texas takes you 8 hours. You have plenty of time to prepare.
Yeah.
But it was a 10-minute drive to a mall, and I was in
another state.
I was freaking out.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess I guess other states probably are pretty used to that, but I'm pretty sure like that's being used to traveling long distances has to be like a Texas, California, Alaska thing.
It is.
Well, maybe not Alaska, because if you go too far, you'd freeze to death. But
no, it is. Yeah.
Alaska, you don't go. You just stay where you are, I think.
In Rhode Island, I told somebody my work was 20 minutes away, and they were like, "Oh my God," and I was like, "Yeah," and they were like, "That's
on the other side
far."
of the state.
Yeah, for real. No, genuinely. I mean, you can get across the state realistically in like an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
No, it is definitely like I think it's a uniquely Texan thing to be like, yeah, I could drive 7 hours in any direction and still not have left my state.
Although I have noticed that because of in Alaska it doesn't really count because not a lot of people travel a lot in there. There's only 5 cities to really go to.
Yeah.
That's true.
But in California, I think because it's way more long than it is wide, they don't really say this much. But Texas is kind of like if you could, roughly a circle compared to the other large states. Mm-hmm. We tend to measure distance in time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that place is 6 hours away, or oh, that place is 10 hours, 12 hours away.
It's true. I actually don't. I actually, if you tell me how many miles away something is, I don't know what that means.
Right.
Like even now, I'm 26, and I don't know how many miles away a 20 mile. Like I don't know what that means.
To be fair, it's different depending on the city in Texas, though.
Like
I said, depending on the city in Texas, it's different. Like 4 miles in Austin and 4 miles in San Antonio feel different in time.
Right.
So
it's because the roads here are better.
They're so much better. Thank you for saying that. They're so much
in
better.
Austin, I'll see I'll put in Google Maps like to go, I don't know, like maybe 15 miles.
Yeah.
And it'll tell me like 45 minutes. I'm like, what the hell? And that's
Yeah.
not a red 45. That's a nice solid blue 45. No traffic, nothing.
Yeah.
And then I put in the same like 15 miles in San Antonio, and it's like, oh, you'll be there in 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Are you also colorblind?
Me? No,
Yeah.
why?
It's green.
No, blue is the empty. Is like good road on Google Maps.
No, it's green.
No, it's blue. Blue is
It's
empty
blue.
road. Green is like in between the two. Green is
Oh,
like
I
traffic
see.
starting to
Okay,
pick
okay.
up.
I see what you're saying now. Blue is like there is no traffic.
Yeah.
Green
Yeah.
is during traffic. One is okay. I see.
I don't know. I'm not an expert on Google. Google, can you
No,
answer this?
I know now what you're trying to say.
Okay, Google, what color?
Okay,
Oh, I didn't-
cool. I thought I was about to be surrounded
No,
by
we don't have
more
any
color
listening devices in
deficient
this
people.
house. Nothing that responds to voice will ever be in our house.
Except for
Except,
McCree and Gannon.
except for that first edition Connect where I know nobody installed anything in it because it can't even do its actual job properly.
Yeah, I can confirm if anybody's trying to listen through our Connect, they're having a harder time than we are. So that's definitely not happening. How much longer do we have?
Her mom actually offered us an Alexa, I think.
Yeah, she just had like 4 lying around.
Right, we just walked in and she had like 4 box Alexas. Like, you guys want an Alexa? And we're like, no, but why?
Wow, that's
Yeah.
funny.
Well, it's annoying because I do want an Alexa, but I know they're listening to everything I say, so I'm not going to buy one.
Well, yeah, if it was like a necessity, it would make sense because like I know they're listening on my phone too because someday I'll be like, wow, I need this, and then Google will like next day pop up and like advertise it, and I'm like, fuck you for listening to me. But
That's creepy.
I need my phone.
Yeah.
I don't need an Alexa. I don't need like why install speakers in every corner? Why not just have one tucked away in your pocket that you can't control?
I mean, Google's definitely at least tracking you all the time as well because if you if you think about Google, back to Google Maps, weirdly enough, you get those notifications that all the time, regularly. Because I notice this with trains, because there's trains over kind of where I work that tend to like block the tracks for like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
And pretty much every time it'll know when the train is blocking the tracks. Like and it's different it's random every time. It's not like a set thing.
Yeah.
But I'll get a red bar every time, and when I get there, sure enough, there's traffic.
Yeah.
But then I'll kind of go. I drop off right next to there, so I'll go there and I'll re-put in where I'm going, and the train will be gone, and it's no longer red. So it knows. But how would it know? I'm pretty sure not everyone's using Google Maps, and I'm pretty sure it would take more than one to really know if there's traffic.
Yeah.
Well, they have to be compiling it from pretty much everyone.
They
Oh,
do.
yeah.
They also have direct feedback that they've been introducing now, which is something that like Waze used to have, where
They did
they'll
that
have
long
little
before
things
that,
pop
though.
up that will say,
Yeah.
like, is this traffic jam still here or whatever, and you can hit yes, so they can get live reporting from the people that are there.
I've gotten those for speed traps and stuff, but I've never gotten one for traffic.
Yeah, I've seen them for both.
It's for
I
speed
bet
traps and slowdowns is what they call it on the pop-up.
trains though usually are on some kind of a schedule, so they may just have something tapping into train schedules that
Right,
let
but
them
actually,
know
no,
when they're
it's.
coming through.
I mean, they do have train schedules, but these are like legally. By the way, if you live in Texas, legally trains cannot block a intersection for more than 15 minutes. Otherwise, they have to pay a huge fine, unless it's an emergency.
Huh.
But I doubt they have emergencies 3 times a day every day.
Wow.
2 or 3 times a day. So if they're blocking it for more than 40 minutes, you can actually call the Department of Transportation.
40
and make
or
a complaint.
15?
It's 15 minutes is
Okay.
the limit.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and with trains getting longer these days, it's becoming kind of an issue.
Yeah, for real. I'm gonna time the one out here next to like where we live, cause
Really? I haven't had much trouble with that one.
oh my
but-
god, I have so much trouble with that
We've
one.
actually figured out alternate routes out of here, just because sometimes we'll drive out, we'll see the train, like, nah, just go the other
I
direction.
think it's only about like 6 minutes, but that's a long time to just sit in your car staring at a train when you could be moving
Yeah.
without a
In
train.
reality, it probably takes the same amount of time for us to go around the train than to wait on it, but it feels better just because you're moving the car.
How much
Right.
time? How much time do we have left on Oops All Tangents?
We still have like 10 minutes.
Okay. I was gonna ask. If how you know that you're not colorblind, John.
I mean, to the best of my knowledge, I'm not colorblind because I can distinguish between colors properly, and it tends to line
good
up with
sign.
what other people,
What if
Think-
they were
Have
colorblind?
you ever taken
What if
the-
everyone is colorblind except Kyle?
Oh my god, that's not true. Kyle's definitely colorblind.
That means the rest of the world is crazy.
I just had like a small existential like tidbit this morning. I don't know. I was walking to the mailbox and I was like, wow, humans really discover a lot of really amazing things. And then I was like, but we can't even see all the colors. What if we can only discover the things that we can see? What if there's so much more that we can't discover because we can't see them? We're so small. And then I was like, oh wait, but at least we know they're all those colors. And then my thought just ended. That was it. That was my whole like morning walk to the mailbox, and then I
I think
got
it's a testament
distracted.
that we can actually detect things that we can't perceive with our
No, you're
bodies
totally
anymore.
right.
Yeah.
That was my end conclusion after I had my little small existential like,
We figured it out eventually.
yeah, I was like, well, somehow we figured out that shrimp can see like 16,000 colors. So, we did something right.
16,000 is actually a very small amount of colors.
Allison
What?
just traveled through
Yeah.
the minds of at least 6 different philosophers throughout the years in like 5 minutes. Good job. That was
Thank
pretty
you.
Impressive.
It was a very eventful walk to the mailbox. Wait, what did you say though?
16,000 is very, very small because it gets multiplied by every cone you have in your eye. So I think isn't
only have,
the
like, 3
standard
cones.
computer number like 256 million colors or something like that?
No.
Technically,
I'm
like
not
if you
sure.
count every single combination of the number code possible, it's something like
No.
it's several. It's in the millions.
No.
Yeah. And that's like normal human color perception. So if like people with like an extra cone in their eye get that multiplied again.
I think I have an
Yes.
extra cone.
I actually think you might. I think you might actually be one of the super color seer people.
I think so too. You know what? I regularly think about what would happen if like we traded bodies and like how different the world would feel. I bet we'd all like everyone talks about, oh man, I wish I could walk a mile in your shoes, or like I wish we could trade places. And the first thing I think of is like, what if they're in constant pain and don't know that other people aren't in that same pain?
I'm in constant pain and I do know.
Same. But what if Kyle is and he doesn't know and he thinks it's normal to
No,
just
I'm not.
have that?
I'm good.
Okay.
You would not want to be in my body.
Screw off.
I'm 27 and I have arthritis. So
Yeah, no, not yours, John. You can.
There was actually
Yours sounds painful.
I have to recommend a Chris and Jack sketch about this though, which I'll show
Really?
you guys later. They have a whole thing where it's like it's making fun of the body swap movies like Freaky Friday.
Oh yeah,
And
okay.
it's just the scene where like they get swapped back by the witch or whatever.
Oh, you told me about
and,
this,
And the
yes.
witch is like, now you will see how much better your lives are without like, or it's the whole like they're supposed to get a sense of respect for each other's lives
Right,
out of it,
right.
The
and they're
moral
like,
lesson.
yeah, no, that's fine, dude. Your blue is different than mine. And then they just spend like four minutes talking about all the weird things that each other's bodies do.
I think that's really, really accurate as to like what would actually happen.
Yeah.
There's actually another channel that I do like watching. It's called Thomas Edison, or it's Thompson. His name is Thomas Edison. He's he goes by Tommy though. He's blind, and he's been blind since birth. But he has a YouTube channel that obviously someone who can see helps him with and edits for
Is
him.
he the older guy?
He's the older guy, yes.
Yeah, I've actually seen a couple of his.
Yeah, and he is outstanding. He's fun to listen to. He has such an interesting take on life. Like he's very accepting of how people
Did he go blind?
some of the weird questions people ask because he knows they don't understand.
Did he go blind or was he born blind?
He was born blind.
Oh wow.
But he actually did a thing where he answered questions and kind of exchanged conversation with someone who was who went blind in their 20s, and he went blind when he was born blind, and just kind of the differences there. Like she knew what color was, but she couldn't see it anymore. He has no concept of color.
Yeah.
Like he does not know color, and they do.
Yeah.
He does a lot of stuff with that because it is so interesting to know that
Colors
it's
are
not
really
something
cool.
you can describe verbally.
I
Right.
absolutely love colors for that reason. I think they run really deep in like culture and society, and also I think they're pretty. But there was one time that blind kid came to my class. It was a sign language class, but we were still like we had a whole week on just like basically like indulging in people lacking in senses. Like we were just like interested in all the different, varieties of people. So we had a kid come in who was like 12, and he was blind. He was born blind. And someone was like, "What do you see?" And he just stood there and was like, "I don't." And this kid could not grasp it. He was like, "So like black?" And he was like, "I don't know what black is." And this kid was like, "What?" Like this dude, I was having so much fun watching this like 15-year-old boy just like fall apart. He was like, "So how do you know you don't see black?" And he was like, "I don't know that I don't see black. I don't see anything." And he was like, "What does not anything look like?" And the teacher had to stop him because obviously when you go down that path, you could just keep going and you'll never get an answer because they'll never tell you. They'll never be able to tell you if they see black or not because
You know what
they
would be
don't
interesting though? If we can come up with some surgeries, they actually making a lot of progress in that area of bringing
yeah?
people's sight back.
Okay.
But so far as I know, they've only ever done people who lost their sight to some disease or something.
Yeah.
I don't think they've done it with anyone who's never seen before, but that would be very interesting if they could.
Yeah.
And then to get their take on what it was like to be blind, and if it was black that they saw, or if it was nothing, and they just simply had nothing firing, and if that is something different, because we think of black as being off because when we close our eyes, it's
Yeah.
black, but
Yeah.
that's the inside of our eyelids. If you have light on the outside of your eyelids, then it's slightly reddish.
Oh no,
and-
you're right.
Yeah.
I remember asking someone who went blind what color they saw, and they said the inside of my eyelids. And I said, "So like black?" And they were like, "Are the inside of your eyelids black?" Like they asked me that question. I was like, "Are they not?" And they were like, "I feel like there's many colors." And I'm like, "Oh my god." And then if you close your eyes, there is kind of like, and it's black. And also there's lots of colors. Very weird.
Right.
Hated the idea of it.
Because we think of black as nothing, but black is the absence of light to our sensory receptors.
Right.
If you don't have sensory receptors, maybe you do see black, maybe you don't. We don't know.
Yeah.
Oh my god, terrifying. But you can be blind. Well, isn't there like light blind and color blind and different types of blindness? So like you can be blind and not see anything but still see color in your eyes because of light.
I mean, we call them blindness because
Yes.
it's just a defect with the eyes, with
Yeah.
our visual systems, but
Yeah,
it's
they're
not
very
necessarily
different
the same. It's not really a gradient of the same spectrum. They're different
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, when
That
I
makes
was
sense.
I went to a field trip to the School of Blind and in Austin, and there was a girl whose vision was like entirely bright, basically like white, and then she could kind of
Oh, wow.
see around the edges. And then the girl that I was partnered with had tunnel vision, so like she said it was like a dime size visual at the end of her vision. The rest was black. And then some people were just like straight blind and other people had gone blind, and et cetera, et cetera. But
Right.
yeah, you can have different types of blindness, and so I imagine that you can not be light blind, but be other types of blind, and so when you receive light, you get different variations of visual images. I'm not sure color is like a
that's
fair.
colorblind. It's color blindness.
Well,
it's
yeah,
like
but
inverse
true.
color blindness. You only see color rather than
Wait, what?
nothing
Right,
else.
like you wouldn't see, like you can't.
What else would you see?
Like it would be like what you're talking about. Like imagine if you only saw the inside of your eyelids, but when someone flashed a light, you would see a different color.
So you just
Basically
like-
that. So you
Oh,
have no
I
like
see.
visuals, but you have receptors. I don't know.
So like
Honestly,
basically
it's-
bad vision. You're basically everything blurred and obscured.
no,
But
like
just, like,
everything's
really, really bad
everything's
vision.
not there. Like everything is not there except that when light passes in front of your eyes, you see different things. By see, I mean like
That
like
could
the
be
difference
like
between.
Oh, so you mean like an overload? Like you have way too many sensors, and like anytime you see anything, it's just
I
all
mean,
the colors mixed together, and that's what you see.
I mean, like, imagine if your eyes were shut all the time, right? But then you
Okay.
turn on a light with your eyes still shut, and you
Right.
can you can
see the little reddish.
the kind
color
of
your
yeah
skin,
red, and you see all those different things. I think some people have that, like
mean-
where they don't see anything. It's as if they're blind to everything.
They
Like
could just open their eyes.
no. I don't think they could or they would.
All right, and on that note, we're gonna go ahead and close out this episode of Oops All Tangents.
That was
Thanks for
definitely
joining us,
oops
John.
all tangents.
And we're gonna move on to Superhero Chicken Fest. So if you haven't listened to the new one
Superhero.
yet, go check that out over on the website or on the YouTube channel.
All right.
And thanks for donating. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.